Yeah, he trained bad. No, it's not true. He's sick, unfortunately, and could not travel. And Trevor Chalobah is injured from the match. So with N'Golo Kanté and some other players, it's a tight squad.
Certainly is. And looking at your bench, you've got a lot of youth on there tonight. Billy Gilmore's making an appearance. Carney Chukwuemeka is on there. Yeah. Are you using these players a lot sooner than what you would like and anticipated?
Yeah, unfortunately. I love the players. I love to work with them. But still, if you see our upcoming schedule, if you see the game today and you see the bench, it's a bit worrying in terms that we have, unfortunately, already a lot of key players out and not available because to push each other to the very limit. We struggled in the very beginning of the season, unfortunately, and hope to turn things around quickly.
Well, where do you see Southampton's biggest threats tonight? A young squad?
Yeah, young but full of energy and very fast and very physical. So we know what's coming, but it's not enough to know it. We have to react to it. We have to be ready for it. We have to step up against it. You get no presents if you play, no gifts. I think they played a very good match against Man United.
Chelsea won this fixture, incidentally, last season by 6-0. Have they got that fluency about them from what we've seen so far, or are they still very much in transition for you?
It's a strange one because for me to, Thomas Tuchel touched upon it there that the bench isn't that strong, but this is Chelsea Football Club. They've spent a lot of money. Koulibaly coming in, Cucurella coming in, players coming back from injury. They're talking about them getting a Aubameyang. So it's almost like you can't feel sorry for Chelsea because they have got quality players and they should have enough in them. But they do look like they're in a team in transition of kind of not knowing what their best 11 is. I mentioned it earlier, Loftus-Cheek playing on the right, Mason Mount playing on the left. It's almost like, where do these players fit in? Kovacic is on the bench at times. Sometimes he comes in.
The league leaders at the minute, Arsenal by 5 points. Is that the motivation for Thomas Tuchel right now, is to keep that gap as it is and not any bigger?
Yeah, I'm sure it is, but they'll be playing the long game. They know the league isn't won after 4, 6, 10 games. It's the long game. They will be getting reinforcements. They will be getting the players that Thomas Tuchel is identifying to make them stronger. But maybe that game at the weekend, that game against Leicester City where it's 0-0, they go down to 10 men, they feel their squad isn't the strongest, they change system and they find a result in front of their home fans. I'm sure that's the kind of thing Thomas Tuchel will be speaking to his squad about, saying we've started our season now, we're up and running. Yes, we got the result against Everton, we should have got a better result against Spurs, but this is where we're up and running. Go show them in this game against Southampton. And
that win over Leicester for Chelsea came as a result of 2 goals, the first 2 goals for Raheem Sterling in a Chelsea shirt. He's already settled in nicely at Stamford Bridge, has he not?
Absolutely, and I never had a shadow of a doubt. I mean, his movement is so good, and I think he's been doing different roles for Chelsea. We see the back heel there, almost gets an assist, and he stays central. I think a lot of people question, and this is a really good assist here for Reece James, just puts it across. And the thing about Sterling, he's very versatile. He can play in the front 3 anywhere, and Cucurella puts this one across, and Sterling ends up hitting the post on that one. I think he has to put that one away. And a lot of people have questioned his ability in those areas, but I think he makes runs, he's very smart, he stays central here. Cucurella plays him, and he gets lucky with this, a little bit of a deflection as well, but for me, you make your own luck. And I was actually quite surprised that Manchester City allowed him to go to Chelsea in this way, because I think it's a fantastic move for him. And, being in the right place at the right time is not something we often see Raheem Sterling do at club. We see him do it for England, we don't see him do it at club. And, he's got his first 2 goals, and I think first of many.
Yeah.
In all of those clips, though, he's at his best when he's facing the opposition's goal, when he's either dropping into spaces or he's able to spin and face his defenders up, maybe run in behind or receive the ball to feet, looking at defenders. To start with, Chelsea played him right through the middle, where a number of times you have to play with your back to defenders. You have to hold the ball up. So I think he would benefit even more, even when they get a striker that they want to come and play right through the middle. But there's no doubt in his ability. As Leanne said, it's surprised that Manchester City were maybe to let him go. Not just let him go because they've brought in Erling Haaland, but to one of their direct rivals, to give him such a quality player in Raheem Sterling, that they know what he's capable of. Because, when he faces defenders up, defenders will be petrified. He's one of those players that scares the life out of defenders.
Yeah. Chelsea away to a Southampton side who ran Manchester United close in their last outing at St Mary's. They've only taken 4 points from 4 games, but is it more encouraging than their points return right now by the way they've gone about their business?
Definitely. I think they look better now than they did at the end of last season. I worried for them because I think if there was a few more games, they could have potentially have got relegated. But I think at the weekend, you know, against Manchester United, they were unfortunate. I think they were the better team. I think they should have had a penalty. I thought the one on McTominay was a penalty. So I can understand why they felt hard done by. But if they play that way, they have to play that way against a team like Chelsea because they're going to have to get something out of the game. They desperately do. And I think some of them, the players they have, are good, but I think some of them are a bit of a gamble. Aribo coming in, he's on the bench tonight from Rangers, a little bit of an unknown. You don't really know a lot of their players, how good they're going to be. Salisu, yes, he puts himself about, but they miss goals for me. I don't think Armstrong has come in and done that well, and I think they missed Danny Ings. Letting him go to Aston Villa for me was too easy.
Yeah, but they have got a young core in that team, haven't they, for Southampton? They've got a 20-year-old in goal, 2 other 20-year-old outfield players, plus an 18-year-old.
Yeah, well, that's it. They always seem to be a developing team because every time Southampton start to improve and start to look positive and start to look like they're going to be a team progressing, someone comes in and takes their players or their players move on. So it must be so frustrating for Ralph Hasenhüttl. And you know, Leon said they finished the season poorly, losing to Spurs on the opening day must have been worrying as well. But to then progress, win the games, Shea Adams scoring those 2 goals, and potentially should have got something against Manchester United. Going into this Chelsea game, they'll feel in a much better position.
OK. Between Southampton and Chelsea, but we've had a goal just moments ago at Craven Cottage between Fulham and Brighton. It's that man again, Alexander Mitrovic, his 5th goal of this season, Leanne.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I spoke a lot about him on other shows on this channel before, and Team Talks. I said, you know, I didn't think he was cut out to be a Premier League player, so maybe I might be eating my own words, but we'll have to see at the end of the season. The Fulham fans, it's all fun and games, I guess.
The pundits jinx. That's what it is, Leanne. So half-time in our feature, as I mentioned at St Mary's, Southampton have turned things around to lead Chelsea by 2-1. It started so well for Thomas Tuchel's side. Raheem Sterling on a high after his 2 goals against Leicester. Got Chelsea up and running to begin with.
Yeah, well, for 27 minutes, it was all going according to plan for Thomas Tuchel. They were creating chances. Sterling probably could have put Chelsea ahead before this moment. But this is brilliant. Great run from Cucurella. Mount, who's maybe getting a touch of criticism this season. Great to see him creating that goal. But, you know, Chelsea, we thought they'd go to a back 3, but they're sticking with this 4-4-2, and it's to allow the likes of Ziyech to play really narrow and Mason Mount to play really narrow. Look how narrow they are as a team. But what I love about this is how quickly Havertz changes his body position to allow to receive the ball like that. Cucurella making that burst, that creates that space for Mason Mount. And from there, Leanne, you loved the composure that Raheem
definitely. You know, he freezes. I think if he's at City there, I think he passes it back. I really do. And he freezes, you know, he waits for the right moment. Here, I think he sets it back if he's at City. Now he changes and it's a goal. And, you know, he had a lot of chances in this game where he probably should have scored, and we highlighted him before the game. But I think he did really, really well.
It only lasted 4 minutes, that lead. Romeo Lavia, new signing, 18-year-old in midfield, equalises. Some strike, this.
Great finish. I like this. You know, I think Lavia, you know, he picks it up here, bends it around. The players kind of come out. Koulibaly comes out, Azpilicueta, you know, Thiago Silva there. But I know Leon touched upon before, maybe Mendy was blindsided in this situation, but I still think he's got to get a stronger hand. I think he's got a quick enough time to be able to get his feet across, taking nothing away from the goal. Fantastic finish from Lavia.
Yeah, it's a great finish from the young man, picking that spot.
And then into first half injury time, Adam Armstrong with his first goal since November.
Yeah, and it's a good team move. I mean, look how many players that Southampton get forward right on the stroke of half-time. You know, it was mentioned that both teams would take a draw at that moment, but you know, how expansive Southampton are in that moment is brilliant. And Armstrong's movement bursts in behind. Chelsea's defence go with him, and then he stands still. That's what I love about it.
And this is a great cutback as well from Peru. I think it's fantastic in that situation. And I touched upon Armstrong before the game. I said he doesn't score enough goals, and I think that's a fantastic finish.
Yeah, much to the delight of Ralph Hasenhüttl. And a great time to score just seconds before the half-time whistle. No goals in the game at Selhurst Park between Crystal Palace and Brentford. At Ellen Road, though, much to the delight of Leon here in the studio, Everton are leading Leeds by the odd goal. Leeds started the stronger, but the first chance of the game went to Anthony Gordon. And just like against Brentford, a pretty similar finish.
Yeah, and a similar position when you look at it, probably on his touch map there. But it's a really good bit of movement from the team. As you mentioned, that Leeds, I think, had 65% possession up to this point. Everton hadn't got forward, but great is it those type of things come off the training ground. Those type of movements, Frank Lampard will be delighted with. He'll work on that in training, but really frustrating thing for Leeds is what looks like a very significant injury to, their main man this season.
See, that looks innocuous, doesn't it?
Shoulder injury, yeah, but you see the way he had to leave the field. It looks like a really bad injury to the shoulder, and looks like they're going to have to do without him for a significant amount of time. We've seen how long it takes to come back from shoulder injury.
And he stepped up this year as well, I think. So we talk about players being the main player, and I think he's really stepped up.
Yeah. So Everton leading Leeds by 1-0 at Ellen Road. In our feature match, though, at St Mary's, Southampton have turned things around in the first 45 minutes. They trailed to Chelsea after Raheem Sterling gave the Blues a lead. The Saints hit back strongly, first through Lavia, and then in the latter stages, we saw them take a 2-1 advantage. 4 games played of this match week. First midweek match week, of course, in the Premier League. It finished Palace 1, Brentford 1. At Selhurst Park, Johan Wieser scoring a late equaliser for Brentford. Wilf Zaha giving the hosts a lead with a terrific goal. It's now just 1 defeat in 5 for Fulham after their 2-1 win over informed Brighton. Alexander Mitrovic scoring the opening goal, his 5th goal in as many games. Southampton registering their first home win over Chelsea in 9 years. They came from behind after Raheem Sterling's opener with goals from the Saints from both Lavia and Armstrong. And as we've seen, it's finished Leeds 1, Everton 1 at Ellen Road. There are a few games on Wednesday, of course. You've got Bournemouth, Wolves, Arsenal, Villa, Manchester City, the champions, against New Boys Nottingham Forest, West Ham against Spurs in a London derby, before Liverpool take on Newcastle at Anfield. And on Thursday, the solitary fixture there at the King Power Stadium between Leicester and Manchester United. So at the bottom half of the table, Everton in 15th position, 3 points from their first 5 games, still winless, and looking for that first 3-pointer of the new campaign. Crystal Palace there in 13th position after today's games with 5 points from as many games. At the other end, well, the big movers towards the top end, Leeds United, who are in 5th place with that point today. 8 points to their name from their first 5 games. Fulham, one of the surprise teams, I suppose, in that top half. 8 points from their first 5 games, just 1 defeat to their name so far. Southampton just behind them after that impressive win over Chelsea. They move up to 7th. You've got Chelsea in 8th and Brentford in 9th. Welcome back. At St Mary's, we've just seen a big win for Southampton. They've just beaten Chelsea by 2-1 to register their first home win over the Blues since 2013. They had to do so the hard way. It was Chelsea who took the lead initially. He's become their top scorer this season, has new signing from Manchester City, Raheem Sterling, and he showed real composure to give the visitors the lead.
Yeah, he did. It was a really good move by Chelsea, operating down that left-hand side. Cucurella and Mason Mount involved, but many people would have snatched at that, hit it first time, but he took his time and placed it nicely in the corner.
But Southampton struck back, first from 18-year-old Romeo Lavia from distance and through a crowd of players.
Yeah, I like this finish. I think it was composed. He's bent it around the outside. I know we spoke a little bit about the fact that Mendy was blindsided, but I don't take anything away from the finish. And I like this one as well. I mean, the cutback is brilliant. And Armstrong, who I highlighted before the game, was saying he doesn't score enough goals. His first one since November. And he stepped up when it really mattered. That winner coming in first half injury time from Adam Armstrong. Let's get some post-match reaction now from the Southampton dressing room. Here's their head coach. In fact, let's hear from Thomas Tuchel first from Chelsea.
Well, Thomas, how do you sum that one up tonight?
Difficult and a bit early. I don't know why, but we start well in all the games almost, and obviously we struggle with our focus and with the consistency in matches. It's not enough to play 20 minutes good. We did the same in Leeds, and one thing goes against us, and then we struggle to find answers, and we struggle to fight our way back if the things don't go in our direction. Today they went in our direction, and still with the equalizer we started to struggle and to adapt, and gave it completely out of our hands, and it's the situation.
Does it concern you that it will take time to sort of dissect and work out why things aren't clicking, bearing in mind the game's
I don't know if concern is the right word. I absolutely dislike to lose, and it's already second time in the season, very early, and it does not take a lot to beat us. This is what I don't like. We are humble enough to understand that we can lose football matches and, of course, away matches. This is also, we don't like it, and we try to win every match, but the way we do this is for sure something we need to understand as fast as possible and to change.
Ruben Loftus-Cheek came off at half-time. Was that a knock or...?
Yeah, it's a hamstring injury, so next midfielder out. There's no one left, so the recommendation for Mateo Kovacic was 20 minutes. We made 45 out of it. It's a situation I also don't understand why we are in this situation regarding the injuries and the injuries like all players in midfield. But that's the way it is, and we need to find solutions.
Are you also confused as to how it's only Raheem Sterling at the minute that's giving you sort of attacking returns in your forward line?
Yeah, it is what it is. It's a reality, and we played with 4 offensive players now many times. Like I said, I think in the first 20 minutes we created quite chances, half chances, but we struggled to score, which is also not brand new for us, and does not necessarily need to have the consequence that you lose matches. You can also win 1-0, you can win 2-0 with a late goal, so no problem. But then you need to have a clean sheet. You need to be more focused, and amount of individual errors, lack of concentration is simply too high at the moment to win football matches consistently. We can win, of course, what we proved, but it's not consistent enough.
It's the first time Thomas Tuchel has lost back-to-back away games. As Chelsea manager, what did you make of what you heard there, Leanne?
I think it's interesting because I don't think you can make excuses for Chelsea. I mean, yes, they've got injuries, so has every other team, in the Premier League. They've got an unbelievable depth in their squad, and I think I hear a lot of excuses, but I think they're struggling with their identity right now. I think last year people thought they were getting in Lukaku, they were going to win the league. That was literally what a lot of people were saying. And then from that moment on, Tuchel coming in, winning the Champions League, did really, really well. But I think they're struggling right now with their identity. And I think certain players like Rudiger leaving, I think, that's questionable. Mason Mount did all right tonight, but didn't really offer a lot. And I think they're struggling with what formation to play, whether it's a 3, whether it's a 4-4-2. And without Reece James playing, obviously that's a massive loss for tonight. But for me, at the end, Mendy coming up, trying to score a goal, the goalkeeper, yes, that's great. But this is Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? They shouldn't be in desperation against the Southampton team, who deserved the result, I thought, tonight.
Did they look disjointed to you, Leon?
Yes. And I thought it was very un-Chelsea-like performance. And I get that feeling from his team. I get that feeling from him as well. I thought it was quite honest in the way he said that his team are too easy to score against and too easy to play against. How often we've seen Chelsea teams will not only start well, which his team did, but once they've got control of the game, they'll either score the goals to take it out of sight, or they'll control the game. They're not controlling a game like top sides do at the moment. They're giving the opposition the opportunity to get up ahead of steam, to put them on the back foot. And the most disappointing thing, I thought, for me was in the second half, or once you've had half-time and you're behind, you make your changes or you send out the same 11 and you ask for them to step up the game, to go and find a way back into the game, to go show character, to go show quality. I didn't really think they troubled Southampton in the second half. Maybe 1 or 2 half chances, but not that sustained threat that a top Premier League side should be able to deliver to break the opposition down. Chelsea are just off the pace at the moment.
So do you agree with Leanne that they've lost a bit of their identity?
I think the fact that Rudiger, we talk about the qualities that he has as a defender. I think his character is a big miss.
The leadership qualities.
The leadership qualities. Somebody...
Win at all costs. Yeah. I think Rudiger would do absolutely anything.
Somebody that will drive the team forward. Somebody that, would probably punch his mother in the face for a victory. That kind of character within the side. They're very nice to play against at the moment, Chelsea. They're easy for oppositions to score against, and Thomas Tuchel won't be happy with that.
I prefer taking candy from a child.
Yeah, I didn't really know where I was going there for a moment.
Yeah. But look, we mustn't forget, Chelsea are the biggest spenders in the Premier League over this summer transfer window. So have you been expecting more from them?
I think so, but like I said, it doesn't matter how much money you spend if you've got no plan in place.
Yeah, or a focal point, I suppose, because that's one of their main issues right now, is it not? Is replacing Romelu Lukaku.
Yeah, but they've also got Sterling in there who can score goals. I mean, they missed so many chances tonight. They had so many chances they could have scored, which usually you'd expect them to put away. I know they're talking about Aubameyang coming in, but you can't make excuses all the time. They spent a lot of money, but they just don't look like they're at the races. And Reece James not playing tonight is a massive loss, but you can't lose a couple of players and make excuses about injuries. They have good enough quality, but Mason Mount just doesn't seem as impactful as he was last season at times, and that's not really his fault. It doesn't look like the players know where each other are. You know, Ruben Loftus-Cheek coming in off the wing, that's not his best position. You know, it's almost like they've got injuries, but you can't make excuses for them.
There's no doubt that the fact that all of his injuries, I mean, they do have a large enough squad, Chelsea, on the whole, but when all your injuries, and he mentioned it in his interview, hit you in the same position, you're not equipped to deal with that. You know, he spoke, Loftus-Cheek's picked up an injury, Kovacic could only play 20 minutes, Kante's out. You know, when you're suffering big injuries to big players in one position, it can be difficult. So suddenly you're playing players out of position, you're hoping you can adapt. Reece James has played a number of different positions. Azpilicueta is in and out, he's right back, he's centre back because, you know, they're rumoured to need Fofana. So I don't think they're the finished article. I do think they'll improve, but you know, if you're going to compete at the very top of the league, you're going to try and compete for championships, and you're going to try and run who we do think is going to be again Manchester City and Liverpool close. You can't lose two of your opening games. No.
And let's not forget, there might be a different look to this Chelsea team, particularly up top by the end of this transfer window. Come Thursday night here in the UK, let's have a look at the one positive, Raheem Sterling. 3 goals now in 2 games. And of course, as we saw moments ago, his goal was well taken to give Chelsea the lead.
Yeah, we spoke a lot about this interchangeability during the game with Ziyech and Mount, and Cucurella makes us run down the left-hand side, and it's a really, really good assist from Mount in there. And the way Sterling has his composure, I said it before, I think if he's playing for Manchester City, I think he pulls that back, but he's got that willingness, you know, that leadership that I thought Manchester City letting him go was quite, you know, borderline impossible, because I can't believe Chelsea got him through the door so quickly. And this is a fantastic run as well from Kai Havertz.
But the way, how narrow Chelsea are, you know, how often are we used to seeing Chelsea with the wing-backs spreading the pitch? It was Chilwell and Reece James making the pitch as big as they possibly could last season when we thought they were playing well. They've adopted a different style at the moment. They're very narrow, as we said. Whether that's because of personnel he thinks he's got available to him, trying to get people into the most natural positions, or that's the style he wants to play, we'll see in a few weeks or so. But good finish by Sterling, but the reaction from Southampton was brilliant. And that, for your first Premier League goal, it was absolutely true. Look, he sees the gap, touch out of his feet, opens the position up even more. And Mendy may have been unsighted, but it's a terrific finish.
Romeo Lavia, the 18-year-old, opening his account. Obviously, it's a moment to remember for him. Edouard Mendy?
Yeah, I think he's been questionable this season. I think Mendy was brilliant last year, but I think he's cost Chelsea a couple of situations this year. We saw him getting stuck on the ball against Tottenham. So, but Lavia, a great finish, but I do think Mendy has to do better there. He gets a hand to it, but not strong enough.
Let's have another look here, and see, you know, the crowd of players in front of him, whether it did play a big part.
Yeah, well, first of all, that clearance from Azpilicueta is really poor. Got to use his other foot, got to make sure it clears further than that. I'm giving Lavia credit for the way he opens his body up, but I think if you see Koulibaly, you see Mendy, he's right behind Koulibaly, probably doesn't see it until there, reacts late, can't get enough of a hand to it to make sure he keeps it out, but Lavia's hit it so hard, so precise, and it was a really good goal. I
think the players now as well are so mindful of giving away a handball. Yeah. You know, Koulibaly, Azpilicueta, the first thing they're thinking about is getting their hands behind their back. Yeah. And Thiago Silva, whereas actually there's someone needs to step out and stop Lavia from putting that in the back of the net. But ultimately, I thought it was a really good finish. But if I'm being hypercritical, I think Mendy has to do better.
And a quick question on him. How do you think he started the season for Chelsea?
Mendy?
Yeah.
Well, I think...
we saw the mistake against Aronson.
Yeah, I can't label every goal Chelsea have conceded at Mendy, but he's conceded 8 goals in, that's 5 games of the season. That's far too many for a Chelsea backline. Suddenly, you're asking your midfielders and your strikers to outscore that, to make sure you're winning all the games and getting the points you require. And for a strike force that's missing a striker, we're talking they need to go out and get this centre forward. We're mentioning Aubameyang. That's far too many goals. You know, you need to keep things tight. You need to make sure if you think you've not quite where you want to be at the top end of the field, you keep it tight at the back. Well, I think Thomas Tuchel admitted pretty much in his interview that at both ends of the field, they're not quite at it yet.
Fofana will help that, though. 100%, he will definitely help that back line because they look right now a little bit all over the place, you know, defensively. But I think Reece James, when he plays, they are a different team. But ultimately, they'll always look at, everyone's going to look at Mendy because he concedes the goals, but the defenders have to defend as well.